In the first days of November, chaos took over Moscow. You are seeing real footage of the situation in the Russian capital. Several power outages and blackouts, 30,000 people without electricity, a 10% drop in voltage across the entire city. But this was not an accident, nor a technical failure. It was Ukraine. And this is just the beginning of a strategy that Russia simply can't stop. Ukraine is testing a strategy that's working better than anyone expected. Since the beginning of 2024, Ukrainian drones have been attacking Russian oil refineries, and we're not talking about one or two sporadic attacks. By the end of October, 21 out of Russia's 38 largest refineries had been hit. This resulted in the loss of almost 40% of the country's refining capacity. To give you an idea of what this means, refineries turn crude oil into fuel that people use every day, like gasoline and diesel. And here's the important detail. Ukraine doesn't attack a refinery once and move on. It attacks the same refineries repeatedly. Places like Novokubashevsky, Ryazan, and Saratov have been hit multiple times within a matter of weeks. Every time Russia tries to fix them, Ukraine destroys them again. It's a strategy with a single objective: to wear them down. And the results in Russia were immediate. Almost 60 regions of the country faced fuel shortages. In annexed Crimea, the situation became so critical that the authorities had to limit gasoline purchases to 20 liters per person. This caused panic, huge lines at gas stations, and even fuel theft. In other regions, the price of gasoline rose 49% between January and October. But this is where things get interesting. To try to solve the gasoline problem, the Russian government relaxed the rules and allowed refineries to mix kerosene with summer diesel to create winter diesel. It seemed like a smart fix, right? Wrong. That depleted the kerosene stocks. And now Russia is facing a possible aviation fuel crisis. Russia creates new problems each time it solves old ones. So, the attacks on the refineries were working perfectly. Russia was bleeding economically. The population was feeling it firsthand, and fuel exports dropped by more than 23% in September. The strategy was approved, and that's when Ukraine decided to expand. In early November, something changed. Ukraine didn't abandon the attacks on refineries, but added a new target to the list: Russia's power grid. And we're not talking about a small change. The numbers reveal this transformation.
The wave of drones and missile attacks was focused on infrastructure. Many parts of the country are going dark.
In August and September, only 10% of Ukrainian attacks targeted electrical infrastructure. Between October 13th and November 5th, that number jumped to 38%. There were 29 attacks on electrical infrastructure, out of a total of 76. This is not a coincidence, it's a deliberate strategic shift. But after all, why attack the power grid? Why not target the power plants directly? The answer has two very practical reasons. First, power plants are well defended. The chances of a Ukrainian drone being shot down before reaching the target are very high. Second, about 18% of Russia's electricity comes from nuclear power. Attacking a nuclear plant could cause a disaster. Ukraine wants blackouts, not a nuclear catastrophe. So instead of targeting the plants, Ukraine started attacking what connects those plants to the cities. Electrical substations and high-voltage transformers. These are the pieces of equipment that convert electricity to different voltages and allow it to be transmitted throughout the country. Without them, no matter how much energy a power plant produces, that energy doesn't go anywhere. Think of it like a road. You can have the best car in the world, but if the road is destroyed, you're not going anywhere. Substations and transformers are the roads of electricity. And you know what's most ironic about this story? This is exactly the playbook that Russia itself used against Ukraine. Analyses by the United States Congress confirm that the overwhelming majority of Russian attacks against Ukraine targeted substations and transformers. Ukraine is simply returning the favor. And attacking these substations repeatedly only makes sense if Russia can't repair them quickly. And this is where the story gets really interesting. Let's look at a specific case to better understand how this works. The Vladimirskaya substation in the Vladimir region is one of the most important facilities in the area. It has an installed capacity of 4,010 megavolt amperes and serves as a central point for several power transmission lines, ranging from 110 to 750 kilovolts. This substation transfers electricity from at least 3 major sources, supplying power to at least 750,000 people. It is one of the main sources of electricity for Greater Moscow. On October 31st, Ukrainian drones attacked this substation. The result was immediate. 30,000 people were left without power, and there was a 10% drop in voltage throughout all of Moscow. The Russian defenses at this facility were practically non-existent. The drones faced only light and sporadic anti-aircraft fire. That's all? A facility that supplies hundreds of thousands of people was practically unprotected. But that's not the end of the story. Just 4 days later, on the night of November 4th to 5th, Ukraine attacked the same substation again. If Russia had tried to make repairs that week, all that work was destroyed. This pattern repeats at multiple facilities nationwide. Now, you must be wondering why Russia doesn't just fix this right away. Why are these attacks so devastating? And here we come to the real weak point that Ukraine has discovered. High-voltage transformers are not parts you can buy at a store. They are gigantic, extremely complex, and expensive pieces of equipment. Each one costs millions of dollars, and the production time is between 18 and 24 months to manufacture just one. In more complex cases, it can take up to 4 years. You heard that right. Years to make a single transformer. Russia now faces a big problem because its factories can't produce these modern, high-voltage transformers. Russia's transformer industry is basically a remnant of the Soviet Union. The factories date from the 1950s to the 1990s. They can manufacture small transformers for domestic use. But when it comes to giant transformers, 500 or 750 kilovolts, which support the national grid, Russia simply doesn't have the industrial capacity. For decades, Russia imported these transformers from Europe and Japan. With the Western sanctions imposed after the invasion of Ukraine, that supply was cut off. Europe doesn't sell anymore, Japan doesn't sell anymore. And the sanctions also block the critical components needed to manufacture or repair these transformers, such as microelectronics, integrated circuits, and advanced materials. There's a story that perfectly illustrates this problem. The Power Machines Toshiba factory in St. Petersburg is one of the most modern facilities in Russia for transformers. In 2024, it had to stop the construction of 3 high-voltage transformers. The reason? Specialized insulation components got stuck at Turkish customs. Correct. Turkey, which still has ties to Russia. If Russia can't even import parts from Turkey, just imagine from the West. Today, Russia relies almost solely on China. Between 80 and 90% of critical electronic components now come from China and Hong Kong. Russia has put itself in a position where it has a single supplier for something absolutely vital, and Ukraine knows that. But the Ukrainian strategy goes even deeper. It's not just the attacks on the power grid. Ukraine is operating with what we can call a two-pronged, simultaneous strike strategy. With its left hand, it keeps attacking refineries, cutting Russian revenue through decreased exports, and creating logistical problems with fuel shortages. With its right hand, it attacks the power grid, cutting off electricity supply to ammunition factories and other industrial facilities, while at the same time undermining the morale of the civilian population, who are left without power and heating. These two blows complement each other perfectly. Without fuel, transportation is hindered. Without electricity, industrial production comes to a halt. Without both, Russia's ability to sustain the war effort decreases, and the population begins to question the cost of the conflict. Now, do you want to know what's most ironic about this story? After all, if the critical substations that power entire cities are left practically undefended, where exactly are Russia's best air defense systems? Well, they're being used to protect Putin. 7 Pantsir S-1 systems and 1 S-400 system were identified protecting his personal residence in Valde. That's right. The president's house has more defenses than national strategic facilities. Moscow might be left without power, but Putin's house is well protected. And when these attacks happen, the official Russian narrative always tries to downplay the damage. Regional governors often describe explosions at substations as the result of falling debris from drones that were supposedly shot down. But this version doesn't hold up when Russian citizens post videos on social media showing the facilities on fire and their cities in the dark. Now, you must be wondering, how does Ukraine manage to strike targets so deep inside Russia? How is this possible? There are two parts to the answer. First, Ukraine has developed domestically produced long-range drones, such as the Bobber model. These drones have first-person view precision guidance, and carry the KZES-6 explosive payload, specifically designed to cause maximum damage to infrastructure. Secondly, and this was revealed by the Financial Times newspaper, the United States provides critical intelligence for these attacks. Ukraine chooses the targets, but the United States provides crucial data, vulnerability assessments of the targets, ideal flight routes, altitude, and the right timing to carry out the attacks, thus avoiding Russian air defenses. It's as if the United States provides the roadmap through the Russian defenses, and Ukraine drives the vehicle. This is a significant development because it publicly confirms the deep involvement of Western allies in attacks inside Russian territory. And it explains why Ukrainian drones have been so effective at evading the defenses and hitting the exact points of vulnerability. Meanwhile, winter is arriving in Eastern Europe, and during this period, temperatures can drop to -10 degrees Celsius. Without electricity for heating, this is not just an inconvenience, it's a real threat to people's lives. The Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, made this clear in October. The Russians don't understand the cost of all these acts, the blackouts, all the hardships that the people of Ukraine experience and endure during this war. Russia must feel the price of these actions. Ukraine strikes back, hitting military targets and energy facilities that sell their energy resources. Russia sells its energy resources and then uses that money exclusively for the war. That's why Ukraine is taking absolutely justified measures. As you can see, this is not just a military strategy, it's a message, a demonstration that the war has consequences for everyone, not just for Ukrainians. And it's an attempt to make the Russian population feel the true cost of the conflict that their leaders started. Putin started this war by attacking Ukrainian civilian infrastructure, trying to break the people's morale. The Russian strategy was clear. Make the Ukrainian winter so brutal that the country would be forced to surrender. But, against all expectations, the Ukrainian people did not surrender. They adapted, resisted, and now they are fighting back. And Ukraine found something that Putin did not expect. A weak spot that cannot be properly defended, cannot be quickly fixed, and also cannot be replaced without the help of countries that will no longer help. While Putin allocates his best defense systems to protect his personal palaces, his people face the winter in darkness and cold. And with every transformer destroyed, with every substation that catches fire, the question that remains is, was all of this really worth it? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think this strategy by Ukraine will really pressure Russia to reconsider the war? Leave your answer in the comments. If you found this video interesting, share it with someone who needs to understand what's really happening in this war. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you next time!